Hi, Glenn. Hi, Allison.
I,
Hi, Zach. You might be the only one in the room. It seems like everyone, either they have a
So,
cold or they're so
yeah, I did have one confirm that they were going to be in person. We have to adjust our form because it doesn't tell us who is answering yes and no to
oh,
whether they're
got
going to
it.
be in
Okay.
person or online. Not that it matters much, but so I'm not sure that we did have one for an or in person, but I'm not quite sure who it was.
Okay. It might have been Aaliyah. And then she said, when she saw that like a bunch of people had said we were going to just join, I had just told on uh, just a chat, just letting people know I was going to be
Mhm.
joining online. Seems like
Yeah,
everyone was like, I'm online, I'm online. So,
perfect. Yeah, whatever's easier for you guys. We're here regardless, just in case there's public comment or anyone wants to come in. So.
okay. That's good to know.
how are you doing, Allison? It's good to have you back.
Thanks. I'm doing all right. Thank you.
Good. Good.
You know,
Yeah.
just every day learning to live around that loss,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I appreciate it. Been getting out, went to the Mardi Gras
Oh,
and tasted
fun.
some gumbo, which
Oh,
I don't even
nice.
remember doing. I don't think I've ever done that.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's terrible. I've never been to that event.
Yeah, it was actually it was fun and there was good stuff. There was
Yeah.
not so good stuff for my taste, but there it was
Yeah.
fun. The weather was so pretty too, so
Yeah.
Did
Well,
did Lynn Ettinger's gumbo win, or he usually
I
has a
don't even
good?
know who won
Oh
when they
yeah,
post it.
I don't know.
Who's the person that you know?
Lynn Ettinger Harwell
And
and Lynn
what?
and Laura.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Did they? I didn't see them with
Laura
a,
works. Yeah, she works for the Mac.
but I
Um,
didn't see them have a station unless
oh well,
maybe they didn't do it this year.
might not have. I don't know. I wasn't
Yeah.
there. I'm in Florida.
Yeah, you didn't know. Yeah. I didn't see them at the gumbo thing, so I'm not sure.
the Mac had a really cool like pre-carnival, like they had all this stuff up, and I was like, man, I need to go
Oh
one of these
yeah.
years.
Yeah, I think that was yeah, like first Friday. I don't know if you ever do that. That's always fun
Yeah.
over at the Mac and stuff. So anyway, so much to do, so little time, especially on a Friday when I'm like beat.
I know. Yeah, no doubt.
All right, let me look here. Who's on? We've got
We
Amy.
got four
me.
out of eight.
All right. I know Rebecca said, I thought she said she was joining, and then Leah said that she would be here. So,
Yeah, and there's nobody waiting to join either.
okay.
And
We'll
if they
make,
do show up, we can promote them.
okay.
What's the percentage to have a quorum for this group?
I think we would because it's just,
I believe
um,
I believe we're good with four.
Okay.
Yeah, we have
yeah.
eight members. We're missing a member.
Yep. Because we don't have, because Michael stepped down as,
Yeah.
a
Nathan got elected.
regular. So until we get our new one on.
Yeah.
All right.
So we have
Well,
six full members, is that correct?
what's that?
Six full members at the moment, because we just need to get a majority. So if the total is six members, then our majority
I think we have eight.
four.
or I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think you're right, Glenn. Someone has to stay on top of all this stuff. But yes, you're right. So we are. I just thought that Aaliyah said she was going to join, so I
Yeah.
wanted to give a minute.
And
Wait a few minutes and see if anybody pops in.
Okay.
Double check the front door here too to make sure there's no one lingering outside.
Yeah, because I think even Rebecca said she was joining online,
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
so we'll wait just a couple minutes. Are you, Crystal, enjoying your new job?
I am. I love
Nice.
it.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. And
Good to hear.
Um, I'm trying to convince Crystal to get her MSW, Allison. Just saying.
Yeah, because why is
Mhm.
she?
well, so I made a pros and cons list of because I told Amy that I'm looking at going back to school to get a Master's of Arts in Counseling so I
Oh,
can become a LPC.
yeah.
Um,
And us as social workers would convince you, yes, you should go the
yeah.
MSW route.
And I'm like, no, I want to do this. I want to dive deep into all the fun psychology. Like my life, I didn't mean to be a social worker. That's what I ended up doing. I'm like, I don't want to study it.
You do,
You
you
can't.
still do. I do clinical work.
I
Yeah,
know
Okay,
you
I
can.
do clinical work,
but that's psychology.
but I want to study more of the clinical stuff than
Anyway, Allison.
Aaliyah's here.
All right,
Hooray.
we'll
Reform.
Yep.
cross
So we
that
have a
bridge
meeting.
another day. No, we'll get moving. All right, we got Aaliyah, and like I said, I don't know, Rebecca, she might join. We'll just go ahead and call the meeting to order. It is 5:33, and I will open up this, get back to this agenda. All right, we are calling the meeting to order. It's February 18th. I'm going to do roll call. So when I say your name, go ahead and just raise your hand, but also voice here, since we're on the screen. So I am here, Allison Gerberg, Chair, Aaliyah German, Vice Chair,
I am here.
Anna Rebecca Allen, absent.
Someone just popped in.
What's that?
I have someone waiting. Just
Oh,
popped
maybe
in.
that's
Let
her.
me double check. Yep.
Okay, I'll come back. Glenn Bosley Mitchell,
I'm here.
Crystal Carr,
Here.
Amy Mock.
Here.
Yep.
All right.
Rebecca.
Did Rebecca join in?
She's probably loading in right now.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi, we're just doing roll call. Rebecca Allen, are you here?
Here.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Approval, moving on. Next item, approval of minutes. It was from the January 28th, 2026 meeting, special meeting that we had.
Correct. Yeah. And so we would still need, I think, January's full meeting minutes.
Okay.
Submitted and approved.
But
These
we
are just the special. Sorry. These are the special meeting just for that agenda item, but I have done the January regular meeting minutes. They are still being processed, I believe.
got it. Okay. All right. Did anyone have a chance to review them and wants to call for a motion?
Yeah, I'll move that we approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
All right. All in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Hi.
Any noes? Hearing none. approval of January 28th, 2026 special meeting minutes. All right. Any public comment? No
No
one's
public.
on, I don't think.
Nope, and there's no one online either.
Okay. All right, then we will just move along to reports. I know Nate isn't here, but had sent you some information. Are you going to review those for us?
Yep, I'll go over those
Okay.
real quick. Yep, so Nate sent me a couple things on a list that he wanted the board members to be aware of. He mentioned a little bit about big picture stuff, what Manitou is going to look like in 3 to 5 years in regards to a housing perspective and a strategic planning process that he states will be driven by Fred and the planners here, as well as being supported by the HAB, residents, and external stakeholders. And it says that he did meet with Lee Patke, the CEO of Graco Housing, as a way to put some momentum into this way of thinking. And he is currently socializing this for feedback for Plan 2.0 as the foundation and being able to provide a little more of a housing portfolio 5 years from now. Apart from that, he wanted to outline that several ordinances and resolutions have been put forward or passed, none that have a direct impact to the HAB, but indirectly are important for developments, these being the fire department mitigation, new sirens, and adopting the 2021 International Fire Code standards. He makes mention of a $1.5 million accelerator grant that is being considered for the city of Manitou Springs. The grant will support the city in adopting a new transportation code and advancing community-focused updates that prioritize safety, accessibility, and better mobility for the residents, local businesses, and visitors. The big picture is that this has the opportunity for the city to become a leader in multi-modal infrastructure and mobility, which is intimately tied with housing and neighborhood vitality. And he also wanted to state that Rebecca is going to sub for him at the Pikes Peak Housing Network, and he wanted to say thank you, Rebecca, for doing that. On March 7th, in the morning, the city staff are hosting a Community Connect Day where you can come and sign up for your water meter change out, sign up for the 50 free hours of parking, talk to the fire department, sign up for peak alerts, and of course, sign up for the biweekly newsletter along with various other opportunities. So you wanted to highlight that. So if you're free, come on down. And lastly, the city and city council are putting in a motion a budget-centric community engagement process to help clarify and educate on community priorities as it relates to services. This will be a two-part process, a survey conducted by Magellan and 2 in-person community engagement sessions. He also provided a link to Colorado Springs new housing dashboard, which I can go ahead and pull up as well. I'll put that link in the chat so that everybody can kind of view it on their end, and then I'll bring it up and share it. Okay, there we go. So this is the link that he provided, and I will find a way, whether in chat or just send an email to the board about the dashboard. This being the dashboard here, which outlines, there's it doesn't look so good because it's bunched up here. So But it outlines a lot of key metrics related to housing needs. The housing needs assessment outlined but it also includes Manitou. So it's provided by the city of Colorado Springs, but it covers the entire county. And so as you zoom in and zoom out, it updates the data on the side there to the left. So something that might prove useful to the HAB. And that's all for the city council liaison. Fred, do you have any updates for our staff updates?
No, I don't think so. But one thing to note with this dashboard, this is that housing needs assessment that City of Colorado Springs and El Paso County did, and the data that was generated also included City of Manitou, as well as all of the other communities in El Paso County.
Nice. That looks good. We'll have to dig into it a little. That was what, Crystal, you had originally shared, or maybe it was just Nate that had shared about taking the survey. So
Yep, that's correct.
good. Awesome. Okay. Well, then we'll just move on to E. We don't have any old
Hey, I have
business.
my hand up. Sorry, Allison.
Oh, I'm sorry,
No,
Amy.
you're fine.
Go for it.
I know. I just had a question. Who is Magellan?
I'm not quite sure. The email that he provided didn't outline who Magellan is. I imagine it's going to be just the company to run that survey.
So a consulting firm, likely.
Like an unbiased party.
Okay. And then the 1.5 million, do you know if it's a match grant? If it's a matching grant, or?
I'm not quite sure, but I can definitely find out. I can find out and send an email to the board and blind CC the board with any information I can get.
Okay, and oh, go ahead. Sorry, Fred.
I don't think that accelerator grant is a matching grant. It's a grant that we received. We actually received it, and it was applied for through our public services department to put together basically a new transportation code for improvements to public streets and things like that, to make it more pedestrian friendly, make our streets more pedestrian friendly and bicycle friendly, more multimodal, which this grant is a huge deal. It's really good to know that we received this type of grant for this type of project.
And that's what the survey is related to, is the grant?
Where do you see the Magellan? Where's the Magellan reference? Where's the Magellan reference? I don't
In the city council liaison report that Zach just read.
Yeah, so they wouldn't have gotten this email from Nate,
Oh.
but you were CC'd on it. So it is number 6. The most recent one here. I'll just turn my computer see.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, so Magellan, a survey conducted by Magellan, that's a separate issue. So the city is putting in that budget centric, that's that community engagement process regarding the city's budget. And Magellan, I believe, is the consultant that is going to be doing the survey.
Okay, so this plan 2.0 proposal that Nate is suggesting.
No, that's
That's
actually
a separate
something
thing.
even different. That's something even separate.
Okay. Is Nate gonna be reporting in this way in the future, or?
No, he's not able to attend the meeting, so he just provided some notes
Okay.
that he wanted to just have the board kind of be informed on.
Yeah, I will just bring it up since it's here. Like, Plan 2.0, I Manitou. I feel like I've been through more than 25 iterations of consulting, and I've been here over a decade. This just seems to be the cycle that we say, let's figure that out. Let's make a new plan for that, and let's hire consultants, and let's get some public input. And then the public input is we should have affordable housing, and then but not with variances. And you know, these are our barriers. It's no secret, right? I guess I just have some challenges with that. I don't see a lot of movement very quickly when we continue to do that. And I do see it lining the pockets of consultants. And we are at a $4 million budget shortfall, from my understanding, as city council does like to say. And I would, this isn't something I'm just noticing now. I'm not taking it lightly, but I do feel like our work here is sometimes, well, a lot of the time fenced in by the code, but also planning department. And I'm sorry, I'm talking slowly. I just feel like sometimes we need more public support than just this group right here. And the way we're doing it right now is very bureaucratic, and I'm just not sure if that is, for me personally, it's not moving fast enough. And I have mentioned this to Nate in person, so this isn't out of school. I'm not speaking about this without him knowing. I have told him that I disagree with going this route and doing another 2.0 version of how else can we say we want affordable housing. So yeah, that's kind of where it's a conundrum to me. And I don't like it. I know we're going to talk about the work session, but when we're bringing up things that the URA suggested in 2022, I don't think that's adequate.
So Amy, you're saying, I think what I'm understanding is that because from Nate's, like the report that Zach read that Nate had sent, you're saying, and again, Aaliyah or someone might have to bring me up to speed if there was like conversation when I was out, but it sounds like Nate is proposing something that was brought up about the HAB trying to have more impact by developing some like survey and plan for housing in the future. I'm not sure.
Well, it's like this 5 year, let's, you know, where do we want to look like in 5 years, and let's talk about it. And yeah, I think Nate has the intentions of a very ethical and moral person. I'm just saying, like, he is new to the community, and I don't.
Oh, you muted.
I'm so sorry. I guess being here for over a decade, I perhaps have some more fatigue from this kind of cycle, where I think Nate is very excited and I think he has the best intentions of, like, yeah, let's look here and here. I just keep, as a citizen, I'll say, because I've only been on this board a certain amount of years, I keep filling out surveys, going to public support, seeing consultants getting hired and hearing the same opinions over and over, and then little to no movement. I know we got Prop 123, but we're kind of seeing how the capital isn't being stacked there. it's frustrating.
Yeah, I hear you. Aaliyah has her hand up. Let's see what she has to offer.
What what I'm hearing is, the city is going to do what the city is going to do in terms of developing a plan, and we as citizens can opine on that. And I guess as a HAB too, if there's a connection with housing. But what I'm hearing you say is kind of frustration around how do we really have an effect this year? And kind of, maybe this is future agenda items, item one, discussion of future agenda items of work plan prioritization around like where, given that the city has a pretty significant budget shortfall and we don't have much funding to do much. And even if we did, there's these private public partnerships that we found are key, or just private entities driving affordable housing, relationships, and how can what can we do? What can we focus on this year to really have an impact? And I don't know the answer to that, but I think it's an important question for us to think through and think about what we can really do.
And Amy, did I also hear like something about like, because at one time this was more a, I don't know, not necessarily grassroots, but it wasn't part of, the city, the city sort of like, are you also saying that there's some, I don't know what the word would be.
I think the history, when they brought on advisory boards such as ours, there was a budget surplus, perhaps. And I think that there again was good intentions, but maybe we've kind of outgrown these. Maybe I guess this is the way I put it today. I look at Pac-Man and how influential that group is,
Yeah.
and how much they get a lot of support. They get to work in different ways that because we are limited, because we are under a city umbrella, we're limited as far as like quorums and agenda items and sunshine law. When we could have public meetings that perhaps had people that weren't, a lot of myself included, this is not easy for people to show up in a city forum, to be recorded live, to give their opinions. Maybe that's not for everybody. And maybe education in this kind of way is, waning, and other people want more of the community type of voice. And so I just would be remiss if I didn't say that, is that something we want to at least talk about?
Yeah, I think it's worth a talk, and it would be even good to hear because I do wonder, are there other things we could be doing? Like, I was at one time, a family member of mine used to be on council, and this family member was saying to me, you can go to council every week and you can say, I disagree with your decision about putting, you know, um, not allowing ADUs in the front. And you all line up every week, go in. And I'm like, well, wonder if would I be going in as just a citizen or would I go in representing HAB, but then would I be in trouble? So, I mean, I think some of those things are good to ask, Fred and our city folks, what can that look like if we want to try to like stir the pot a little? Can we just stir it as just a citizen? I'm not coming in as a HAB chair. I'm coming in as Allison Gerbig, who disagrees with the decision that was made at council to prevent people from building ADUs on their side or their and every day, every meeting I'm coming in and I'm saying that over and over and over. Like, is that allowed or would it be, because I'm the HAB chair? that would be a question I'd ask Fred, and then I see Crystal has their hand up. So
Um, just my experience working in a different community is that oftentimes you can make it felt like you could get a lot more done working outside of the system and applying pressure than doing it from within. Um, and the whole thing about, and I don't know how any community breaks out of the getting rid of like continually hiring consultants rather than listening to the the city staff and the people who have, like I can't imagine your frustration, Lee and Allison. You guys put together this stuff like what, 15 years ago now? And it is kind of mind-blowing, and I appreciate your like um fortitude to keep going despite all of like that feeling of not necessarily getting very far. Um, so it's a weird thing, right? Because it's not just Manitou that continues in that cycle. It's other communities as well. And it's hard to get a system, even though Manitou Springs is a smaller city, um, it's hard to make system changes. And I think we need to have outside power as well as inside power to kind of coalesce to push. I mean, no answers.
all right, since we are a HAB and we have a staff liaison, Fred, do you have any thoughts around what, what's been shared?
No, no, I don't have a lot of complete thoughts, and I don't know if I have much to help you. I guess the first question that I have is, what's the charge of the HAB? What's your duty? Because I don't know. What's the purpose of the Housing Advisory Board? And is it to advise city council on housing matters? Is that essentially what it is? And if that's the case, then that's what you're doing. And it's up to the city council to either choose and go with your advisement or not.
Yeah.
And it's up to the city council. And they've done that. For example, in the recommendations that you made, for example, in the ADU ordinance, they considered your advisement and they decided to take some of it, but not all of it.
Yeah.
I I don't know. Other than that, I guess I would need to refresh my memory to understand what the goal or what the purpose of the Housing Advisory Board is.
Well, I have our purpose up. I can read it real quickly. It's simple, but the purpose of the Manitou Springs HAB is to define, research, facilitate, and promote safe, sustainable, resilient, and habitable housing and options for affordable housing for the city of Manitou Springs. And essentially, yeah, support and advise the city council, right? So maybe a question, because this is not something we will come to a conclusion on today, is if there were group community discussions around how we as community members could better provide that external force, as Crystal, you were saying. Those discussions would be about housing in Manitou Springs. Would those be considered official HAB discussions that would need to take place within this meeting? Or could we explore that outside of this group?
I'm sharing my screen of just what Title II, Chapter 2.5, the Housing Advisory Board Powers and Duties. It's a little blurry, as I'm gonna try and zoom in. There's a little more to the powers and duties than just kind of that one sentence, but let's see if I can get this legible.
And correct me if I'm wrong, others, but maybe I think the questions are not so much on what are we allowed to do within the HAB, but are there ways outside of the HAB that we could be more effective? Let me know if I'm capturing that right.
I'm not sure where, and I don't have an answer for this, how being a member of the HAB and how being a resident of Manitou Springs, as a definitely able to voice your concerns, but I don't know how those intersect. And I don't know what the implications are, exercising both. So I will definitely do some research and I'll ask the questions and find out how we can get the right answer, for the board.
Got it. And I think, I mean, oh, go ahead, Amy.
I was just going to ask Zach, with regard to the planning commission, let's say that Pac-Man has some suggestions. Do they normally write letter? Do they come in individually to the planning commission and say,
at least in recent, Pac-Man hasn't really.
Planning Commission hasn't received recommendations from Pac-Man since I've been here.
Are there any? I guess it doesn't have to be Pac-Man. I'm just curious about community engagement groups. How do they interact with the city generally? If you're able to share that. If you're not, I understand.
Oh gosh, yeah, I don't know. I'm not the right person to ask. I don't know. I don't know how they engage with the city or with city council.
Like, for instance, I saw in the newsletter that you guys are working on a goal to provide more bear-proof trash cans in town. So, like, how does that come about?
Okay, well, so for example, bear-proof trash cans, that was a goal, that you probably want to go back to the goals that, at the end of each year, for subsequent years, each department is required to submit its goals for the coming year, and each board and commission is required to do the same. So one of the planning department's goals for 2026 is to apply for a grant with Colorado Parks and Wildlife to get money to get bear-proof trash containers available for residents. And that's something that's been, that's an effort that is supported by city council because of the presence of wildlife in the city, to try to mitigate trash issues. So that's something that we did. The planning department did that a couple of years ago, and we're going to do that this year. But that's one of our goals, and so that's the Housing Advisory Board has goals as well. And I was trying to find them, and I finally pulled them up here. But the Housing Advisory Board identified 3 goals for 2026 that it showed to City Council. And that might be one of the places where you want to start or continue your efforts in advising the city. The first goal is to support implementation of the ADU ordinance through community education, support of affordable ADU strategies, including preparing at least 2 outreach articles during the year. I think you were the HAB was having that discussion. Number 2 is to continue pursue opportunities to meet Prop 123 goals through education and establishing relationships with developers, funding organizations with a focus on the fund property. and to search out and identify 1 or 2 funding opportunities during the year. And then number 3, the third goal is to review and interpret the results from the housing needs assessment that Colorado Springs and El Paso County completed, and prepare a summary of identifying the guidance and information it provides that can help the city. So those are some goals that might help drive your what you want to do for this, what you want to do for 2026 in advising city council.
Sounds good. No, I think it's great. I think it's a good discussion to talk about these things, and it might be good to have get another I don't know, mini retreat, or just even another, we set a time on the one of the agendas to really, yeah, focus on, again, these 3 goals. Again, they were thankfully presented when I was on my leave, but I do think that they all have community engagement tied to it. And I think, again, we've just been sort of scattered a little, and we've had some changes to our board. So I feel like when what was it? Oh, Zach, sorry. I was trying to think who was sharing the screen. When Zach was sharing the screen, one of the points that came up from HAB, it had said facilitate community engagement. So I mean, that could be, maybe we are trying to facilitate that more, and perhaps there could be a core group of people that want to like have their own little like hub, but we still have our strong city supported, advisory board. I mean, that could be something if people were interested to continue that, and then we can have, Fred or Zach sort of ask, as they said, some of the questions of what does it look like if we're advocating just in general? Can we put a different hat on and say, or can HAB just go in and continue to express our lens, which is always to increase affordability and the ADUs and the disagreement. I mean, we can just voice it. It doesn't mean it's going to change anything, but at least we're getting it on record, right? And maybe they will make some more changes. I don't know. But Amy, I appreciate you bringing that up. It's a good just opportunity to think about some things. We have a new member joining, so to be, we'll have another person, but it would be good maybe for that next meeting, we re-review the goals and have, a little more conversation around this.
I was just wondering if, and I'm sorry, I do not remember the date of the community forum, but I was like, maybe we could have a booth at that with some information about affordable housing and kind of what some of those issues are.
Yeah, that's a great.
I mean, I appreciate hearing those goals again because they were not at the top of my mind.
Yeah, and maybe that's every meeting we need to
Yeah,
re ourselves.
those 3 things, because it's good that they're pretty, just having 3.
Yes.
I agree with what you said of there was a lot going on, and I think we were trying to do a lot. And so maybe if we're more targeted, that could be more effective.
Yeah. Exactly. And Nate's our like a liaison or whatever, or he's not even what's the word? Like he's really not on the board anymore. I mean, he can offer ideas or whatever, but I think the city, something they sent me something about sort of what his role is now. I mean, his role really is, like Nancy, like, kind of sitting, sharing a few things, but yeah, we don't have to like take on things that he brings up, suggestions or whatever. But anyway, Rebecca, you have your hand up.
Yes, I just want to say I would be willing to help with any tabling or booths that we have. However, I would like to revamp the the handouts and stuff and like have a little more there for people. And I would take that on. So if we get to that point, just know that I would be willing to help with that.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had made something a couple years ago, but it's outdated now because it was all related to the energy efficiency. Zach had made some big posters, which were really cool, and I'm sure, they could help with our little budget that we have to make some more of those. So, yeah, those are things we can add. Again, whatever item is that as we jumped ahead. Sorry, Zach.
Yeah, yeah, that community day is Saturday the 7th, March 7th. And let me talk with some folks around here and see if we can get a booth or see if we can get a station or something for the HAB.
Okay, that'd be awesome. Thank you. All right.
But
Do
yeah,
we, anything else on this?
yeah, I'm happy. We can put the goals together and provide that in the packet for next month or something like that. But let me circle back. So the first thing that Zach said, and maybe let me try to put a little bit of context in this. Nate had said something in his email separately. He said, big picture, his hope was that that's important. He's not instructing anything, but he's saying his hope was that over the next few months that there could be more clarity and consensus around what Manitou looks like in 3 to 5 years from a housing perspective, and to do some kind of a strategic planning process that would be driven by planning. So this, first of all, that's not in our work plan. That's not a goal of the planning departments. That's not a goal of the HAB. He's just throwing something out from his perspective. What I would suggest is let's look at this housing assessment that was done and look at the data that was provided, that's been generated for the city, and see if there's some information that perhaps we can glean from it, or we can use to convey, or you can use to convey a message or something like that to city council. Um, so, and that's in your goals. That's your third goal, is to look at the housing assessment. One thing about this housing assessment is it does provide, I believe it provides recommendations for City of Colorado Springs and El Paso County, but it does not provide recommendations. It just provides data for the other municipalities in the county. And so maybe a good thing is to start there and see if that can give us some direction in where to go for this year.
It's good.
Does anyone want to take that on? I am looking at this and it looks like hieroglyphics. Like, this is not me.
I would love, like, I don't think I can do it all on my own, but I am really excited to dive into that information.
I can help you with that, Crystal.
All right. So, I mean, we don't have to talk about that at the next, I don't need to put it on you to have it ready in a month, but what are you thinking by volunteering for that? What just do?
I think, well, and I haven't read it yet, but at the very least, we could pull out like 3 highlights or things about 3 to 5 things that we learned about Manitou Springs and the housing specific to kind of just start with something.
Okay.
And then if we get further, then that's great. But I think for the first month, does that sound reasonable to you, Aaliyah, or to everybody else?
Yeah, to just bring something back for next month. All right. And speaking of that, we do have, I don't know if you all remember, because who knows if it got sent out, that next month, the third Wednesday is the Manny Awards. So we were going to have our HAB meeting. So I should have everyone look at their schedules because maybe we'll have a bye month if you guys don't have availability on Thursday, the 19th. I had said just to have it virtual because on Thursdays, I'm typically at my office and it's hard to get from point A to point B. So what is March 19th? Am I saying the right day?
Yeah, it's a Thursday.
Okay.
I
Is-
can do that. That works for me.
Crystal, is that something that everyone works for people? Okay. And I mean, does virtual work or in person, more virtual?
Yep. Yeah, that works for me as well. I'm fine with shifting to Thursday
Okay.
only, and I'll make sure that we get it updated. I'll get in touch with the city clerk so we can get that.
Okay. I know Fred had asked me, I think maybe in January, and I forgot to deliver that message last month. So, okay. So you can have that, you'll have a couple points ready to talk about, and then we can like use that as some planning. And then that community engagement meeting would be before our next meeting, March 7th. So I guess um, Fred was just going to ask if it even is an opportunity. And if it is, Rebecca, I'm happy to kind of work with you and see if there's anything we could put together in that quick of a turnaround. And if not, we can just, be there as community members. If not,
March 7th?
was that what the day was for the
Yes.
March 7th? Yeah.
Yeah. Saturday,
Okay.
the 7th. And they're
And-
planning on doing it in the morning, like I think it's like from 10 to 1 or something like that. So it's not a whole day thing.
Okay.
And I apologize, and I'll get you some more information when I when I get it. For the life of me, I can't remember where it's gonna be. But did I hear that do you have some pamphlets or some handout information on affordable or no?
We were saying we don't. We had at the last time I did like a event, Zach helped make these really cool posters, but they were specifically for kind of pushing the energy efficiency program. So I actually don't have anything. So we'd have to I mean, I sort of have this little game I do where people drop beads of interest. So I mean, I can hold conversations with people. I just we might need some more printed documents that are at least our logo or something that we could put on some kind of board or
It's at Memorial Hall, guys, from 9 to noon.
okay. So Fred, if you can ask if there's availability, it sounds like Rebecca and I would have some time. I looked at my calendar and I'm available that morning. So
Yeah, sounds good. Let me look into that, and
okay,
I'll look into that tomorrow, and I'll get back to you all tomorrow.
perfect. Beautiful. All right. Well, that was great conversation. So I appreciate as I said, Amy, you bringing that up because I just was gonna roll right over it, and I think it was good that we spoke about that. Um, all right. Next agenda item was the the joint with three people, planning, HAB, and URA. And Crystal and Amy joined virtually, and I was in person. And I kept emphasizing that, this is all still so new, and that HAB's lead will always be the least restrictive, height and density to increase affordable housing. So the URA had met prior to that, and I had jumped on part of their meeting. I had an earlier meeting, so I didn't get there right away, but I know one of the Blocks, Mr. Block and his son, I think the son was presenting maybe from Peregrine to the URA board, sort of again about their plans and reapplying for, funding through CHAFA as we submitted our letter. And then the URA wanting to like kind of go back to this like public comment sessions where the community had wanted like that different density, that lower density. And so it seems like there were different people, like what is the woman's name that was on the screen? If you remember, Amy and Crystal, she's on the planning commission, but she
Oh,
was
Megan Day,
Megan
Commissioner Megan
Day.
Day.
Yeah, Megan
Mhm.
Day, and then this Commissioner Wilson kept kind of like saying that there are some cities that have like sort of like an open density thing, and they were both sort of willing for that, but then it became like, let's just go for the back to 2022. I just know that that's not going to increase affordable housing. It's still too restricted. They're going to need, we're going to need I don't know what the language is, but it's too small. They're not, an affordable housing developer is not going to be able to build that few units and be able to provide affordability. So I didn't vote or anything. Obviously, I just sort of agreed with them, like, oh, at least they're making some little tiny step, and maybe that's it. Maybe they have to move, that way to open it up more. I still think that like our lens could be that it's not enough. And maybe in the URA, if it's affordable housing, are they willing to like change some parking requirements, or because that was something that Johnson was saying from the URA's kind of point. She was saying, well, it doesn't really matter how much the density is, because sort of like naturally it will change based on parking and other sort of restrictions that are already in place. So then I was thinking after, I'm like, well, maybe for affordable housing in the URA, um, our advising could say, can the city make some allocations or changes about parking requirements? Because again, that's right across from the bus line and the, mobility hub, which I mean really isn't offering like mobility outside of, but that is on the number 3, and maybe some space things. Again, I don't know enough. I'm sort of talking, like I feel like I'm talking about this, but I don't really know the language. So, but does that make sense to you all, Amy and Crystal, that were there?
Yeah, I finally felt like I have a really good grasp on it now after that meeting. Like I really started to understand deed restrictions. I started to understand what they were talking about, like height restrictions based on slope. Electra Johnson is very informative and very knowledgeable, and she says it in ways that I feel are very understanding. And the staff, no offense to you guys, you're doing your job. It just gets really code heavy. And even with the attorneys, it gets really code heavy. And that starts to get, because I don't have a background in land use code and those things. I do think that the planning commission has some traditional viewpoints and some more progressive viewpoints, and um, I personally think that somebody from this group should be at those meetings. And I know that would be a large commitment. But even if we rotated or something, to just, or even somebody to commit to watching their meetings more frequently. For instance, when we had that work session, okay, we sat through the planning meeting first before it was closed, the MSURA and us, and they approved 2 variances, and one was for a short-term housing rental. And I was surprised it was 100% yes approval for a short-term housing rental. And I thought, oh, but I thought that was that city council and the planning commission and the housing advisory board were all on the same page that short-term rentals were in opposition to all of our goals. And it was like approved like that. In Crystal Hills, I mean, it was for 2 months, but it was instantly approved. And I was confused by that. I also, like, they clearly have their opinions, and I do think that's where some of my considerations on these barriers are. Like, I'm not sure how persuasive, like, 1 letter to the planning commission or 1 letter to city council from our group is. Like, I feel like we sometimes need more of a physical presence. Because in those meetings, I was just trying to get a temperature read on how long do we stay in one place without changing. I don't mind making incremental moves, but if the market is saying there's empty lots, then it's time to make another move, not just rhetoric. Let's have another work meeting with 3, and so that's where kind of I was. And I don't think that if we're not there having the dialogue with that group, either the URA or the planning commission, we're out of sight, out of mind.
It sounds like what you're proposing is more of a regular working session with them to be more collaborative and try and work through solutions together and be a team and develop that relationship.
Yeah, because when we were talking about deed restrictions, as you guys know, I've often wrapped my arms around the senior housing conundrum that we're facing. But Counselor Day was bringing up a lot to do with school districts and deeds for teachers, police, fire, deed restrictions, meaning like purposeful housing for those types. And I was like, yeah, why am I not thinking of that? It's so obvious. I'm just wrapping my arms around senior, but it takes all of that. And she was reminding that we could have had 40 kids in the school district. And I was like, yeah, we could have. I liked hearing her perspective. I also liked hearing chairman's perspective. I like reading this. If you're not on this newsletter for the city, I mean, it's telling you everything you need to know. City council highlights, this community connect. It had a whole feature on the planning department. Yay, we love our guys, right? It's keeping me in the know.
Yeah, I appreciated it. I thought it was that was a good start to like what Amy was saying, having more, because I felt like they were listening, I was asking questions and, I felt like people were listening. Alan was at that URA meeting, and then, so he had heard sort of what they were thinking. And then, you know, I was on part of that meeting and heard sort of some of the things they were thinking already. I don't know any other like questions, but all I'm saying is that that's not going to change anything for affordable housing. So I don't know if, yeah, like writing the letter that we wrote. Again, there were different council members on the city council at that time. There's new ones. So maybe going in and again talking more about the ADUs. If I don't know if that will change anything, make any changes, or if we just go in instead of writing a letter, we go to the council meeting when it's talking about the height and density changes. Because does Fred or Zach, will planning then take that? They'll like vote on that and then take kind of their recommendations to city council.
Yeah, that's correct. So the working session with Planning Commission was looking at those density restrictions, and there was general agreement to increase the density, at least in the commercial zoning district that was basically created for the URA. And so we're gonna put those changes before the Planning Commission. When you change the code, it requires a public hearing before the Planning Commission. Planning Commission makes a recommendation to City Council, and then City Council will make a final decision. So yeah, it's going to go to it'll go to Planning Commission, and you the HAB is certainly welcome to, I guess, reinforce your recommendation and with, through a formal letter to the Planning Commission, as well as a letter to the City Council. I think Chair Alan Delwich, the chair of the Planning Commission, has been on the Planning Commission for a long enough time and has watched the City Council operate for long enough where he kind of sees what might realistically be approved by City Council versus what might not be approved by City Council. So he's looking at it from a perspective, he's probably looking at it from a perspective of, what could be passed, what's realistic to be passed. So, that's just one perspective. But yeah, that's going to be the process. And we'll see if City Council goes for it. I mean, it's possible that City Council will say, no, we don't want to see any change to the density. That's possible.
Got it. Crystal?
Sorry. I was wondering, like, is it possible, or how do we kind of do what Aaliyah mentioned about trying to get to be more collaborative with both the URA and the Planning Commission um, to make those relationships stronger? And then maybe there would be the ability to be taken a little bit more, and I don't mean that we're not taken seriously, but having a little more heft to our recommendations. Is that, I really thought that was a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we've been encouraged and invited to engage more regularly with like the URA. The URA meets during the day. The only person Glenn could maybe, if he was ever in town, he could maybe make up. Seems like they're like like I said, a Thursday at like 9 in the morning. I have a standing morning Thursday meeting. So like I said, I sort of hustled to attend, but we're always invited to their meetings. And I know Electra said that she'd love to come and speak to our board because, as Amy and Crystal said, I mean, she does present it in a way that I can like understand what it is that she's talking about. That's why when she talked about like, when I was like, well, let's just make it wide open. And, Alan was sort of pushing back and she said, well, it's not, doesn't mean that it's going to be wide open because there's always going to be something that's going to, so I appreciated she had a nice way of, yeah, educating. So, Aaliyah.
Well, what about, I wonder if we could create like a working group, if there was a couple members from each board that would be interested in meeting bi-monthly or something, you know, at a reasonable cadence that, so I think, you know, it'd be hard to always be on each other's agendas, right? And have us all be there. But if we had a smaller working group and had, you know, we need to kind of dedicate to putting together effective agendas so that we can be focused there. And but that would allow us to bring in these other perspectives, like you were saying, Amy, and and develop that relationship across the three groups.
Yeah, that sounds more feasible for sure, to do some kind of working group and meeting. So, I mean, I can talk to, like I said, I had told Electra I'd get back to her, and then for planning, I mean, I can just, yeah, we could bring that up to them, or I could bring it up to Alan, or is that something that we need to like vote on, or is it something we just want to put on the agenda to like flesh through it a little bit more at our next meeting, or what do we do?
I'm not sure. That might be something you could put on the agenda for your next meeting and discuss a little bit more, flush it out.
Okay.
I don't know if that requires a vote or an action item. But it might be a discussion item where you're inquiring, and so what you want to do is inquire with the other two boards first before you take action on some sort of a working group.
Okay.
See if the other two boards are responsive.
Got it. Thank you. See, that's that's the benefit of being under the city. My brain does not think properly after a full work day. So thank you. I will inquire with the two other entities
Yep.
to ask if they have any interest in that, and then we can add that to our agenda for next month. So, did anyone have any other thoughts or questions from the meeting, the joint meeting? Okay. So it looks like I think I lost my agenda, but I think the last one was that we talk about what we're going to do for next month. And I think we had
It doesn't
talked
have to be
about,
just next month. It could be multiple months.
okay,
Be concurrent topics that the HAB wants to keep discussing,
all right.
trends or whatnot. And I've been taking a few notes of what you guys have already discussed that may be beneficial for future agenda items.
Perfect. That would be great. I think, yeah, paying attention to our three goals is very important for sure.
I think for the 2026 goals, but also the powers and duties outlined in Title II,
Mhm.
which outlines the powers and duties of the HAB. It goes
Yep.
beyond the three goals. It outlines a little more, but also provides HAB's duties in context with Plan Manitou, which has a ton of different policies that could be discussed on their own. Each could be their own agenda item, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So maybe maybe for next month, I can put a slide together that outlines the 2026 goals, the powers and duties, where the board, how the board can navigate our land use and development code, define those powers and duties, and also the location of our Plan Manitou documentation, which outlines the policies as well.
That sounds good. And then we'll have Aaliyah and Crystal share some points that they found on that housing survey to also guide our next steps. And then I'm putting on Fred's agenda to ask about, that Saturday event, if the HAB could come and have a little, table, and then ask what it looks like if we're wearing a different hat going to city council, if that's allowed or what that looks like. if there's any,
Yep,
I
we
don't
can do
know.
that.
And that you don't have to like that. That's not priority, but if in conversation somewhere you can add
Yeah.
that and just let us know. I'm not like jumping to go to the city council meeting right this second. So
No, it's pretty important, so we'll definitely look into it.
I'll just say my understanding of that and what I've witnessed in the past is as long as you say I'm here with the understanding that I'm voicing these opinions as a citizen and not as my role as the chair of the Housing Advisory Board. However, of course, some of those opinions are going to overlap. But tonight, I'm here to speak on behalf of my opinions as a citizen. I would like to say that maybe we should write another letter. I did write a letter that Allison chose not to submit, and I 100% agreed with that, Allison. I didn't think that we had enough information. I do think that that letter still has some validity, though, and could, be shaped up to be another letter of support for these planning commission suggestions to city council, just to reiterate and paint that picture. If we wanted to add, senior housing and housings for teachers and, expand on that a bit. But we do have the ability to provide city council. I'm noticing that tonight to lend their ear and put a letter in their packet. So let's do it.
That's right. And what's the deadline for that? Fred, you said that it's going to go to the planning commission, then it's going to go to council. So what's our timeline that we need to get that letter?
That's correct. No, we don't have anything scheduled right now. We're going to take it to planning commission either. It's probably going to be the public hearing is going to be scheduled for April.
Okay.
And tentatively, I'm just thinking off the top of my head right now. Planning commission hearing in April, and then city council first and second reading in May.
Okay, so we could add that letter to review at the next meeting too. We'll have quite a full agenda.
We could even, okay, sorry, I know I'm talking so much tonight, but with this tabling, if we have the opportunity, maybe that's something to say. What would you like included in this letter? We have the opportunity to tell council about affordable housing. What would you, maybe take a temperature with citizens who are like, oh, well, maybe some people don't want it. Maybe the temperature has changed. I don't know, but it's an opportunity to get some feedback.
Can do.
And I really appreciate anyone who is willing to table. Also, I just want to say I have a bear trash can, Fred. I'm very proud of it. So thank you for the continued work, guys.
I also got a bear trash can through the last grant, and we love it.
Oh,
They are very expensive through the trash company every month, so we're very happy to have it.
nice. I know I'd like to get one too, since we don't have a garage. But anyway.
Yeah, we hope to get the grant this year. We will see. I'm assuming there's going to be a lot more demand for grant money this year, but we will find out.
Yeah, good. That's awesome.
Yep. Unfortunately, we don't get to request a specific number. They kind of decide that
Yeah,
based on our submission. So we'll see what we.
that's okay. I appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity. So, all right. Well, thanks everyone for a thoughtful discussion tonight. I appreciate people bringing up questions. So, next, what is it? The March, what is that? 3rd, I think. I'm joining Ruthie. I can't think what her last name is, but she's a partner of anyway. We have a new HAB member that I'm taking forward to council for approval. So I'm excited for that. And hopefully she'll be at our meeting on the 19th. I'll confirm her availability for that day. And everyone have a good evening. Are we good? Do we've hit every agenda item? Does it look to be?
I think so, yeah. And it's up to you to adjourn.
All right, well, if nothing else, I will call the meeting 6:45. We're adjourning. Thanks, Rebecca. And
everyone.
Rebecca, I'll stay in touch with you about that. If we're gonna table and make some plans, okay?
Okay, thank you.